Today, we will be talking about 1 Corinthians 13, which some people refer to it as the love chapter. We see love defined in a biblical way in this chapter, but I don't really want to just dive straight into this chapter because it really starts back in 1 Corinthians 12, verses 12 through 31. And we see this part about diversity and unity, and sadly, division or disunity. Division is a real thing in the church, and we will all face this in some sort of way in our lives. God's original design did not have division in mind. But, thanks to Adam and Eve in the garden, we saw the first sin. So as we go down through here, we often see division. And yes, sadly, I've seen division in preaching styles. A big one that I've faced in my own life is division in speaking of tongues and interpretation of tongues. There's division in so many things today. And the church body doesn't even go as planned all the time. And I have heard stories of churches splitting even over the color of carpet in the fellowship hall. This is sad to me because as we read the Bible, we learn that we should be united just as a body, though one has many parts, but all its many parts form one body. So it is with Christ. That's verse 12. Churches need to become united. Denominations need to become united. Bottom line, the church as a whole should have common goals. The ultimate goal is to see people come to Christ and to fulfill the Great Commission found in the book of Matthew and in Luke. It is sad. It is a sad thing for many, but this purpose has not been fulfilled. Each part of the body does have its purpose. Without a brain, we can't really do anything. Without a hand, we really can't grab anything. And without feet, it's harder to walk. But each part has its own purpose. We all have our positions. In a way, our mission, if you would allow. And God gives us a mission in our own lives. And you see, our mission can change based on the chapter of the life that we are in. We all have different tasks to do. Not all of us will be apostles. Not all of us will be prophets. Not all of us will be teachers. And not all of us will work miracles or speak in tongues. Not all of us have the gift of healing. We are all called to be children of the one true King. And if we are all called to be children of the one true King, then we are called to love like the one true King loves. We are called to love God and equally important, love others. So what is love? Let us dive into chapter 13 now. So we need to remember the world does not define love in the same way that the Bible does. The true way to define love is far from what it is today across the world. And I have been on many short-term trips, and I would love to tell you that all of them went the way that I thought they would go. I've seen organizations not show love. I've seen mission groups twist scripture to win souls over. I've seen division with even churches in other countries. This is not only an American issue, this is worldwide. And I want to tell you that I've dealt with this many times. Sometimes when you face these situations, you feel like you've hit the brick wall and you can't go anywhere. And believe me, I've felt it. I've dealt with that. I even, at one point, preached a sermon on Peter trusting the Father and getting out of the boat. And I felt the Lord really used this time even when I was facing division. You see, not all of us are called to teach. Not all of us are called to the miracles, and we are called to love. And what does love look like? We read this in this chapter, chapter 13. Love is something that is not easily, I would say, pursued in today's culture. We want it to be a now society instead of going through the scripture and seeing it as love is patient, love is kind. Love is patient is like so important today. So many people today do not care. But we are called to love. But love looks different based on the situation and what we want the final outcome to be. Let me repeat that. What we want the final outcome to be. We don't really rely on God too often with this. At some point in our Christian walk, we need to grow up. Verse 11 says, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. We read the chapter, and sometimes reading it, we read the scripture differently as we had previously. I've recently taken the scripture and saw that the scripture was speaking to me. We need to grow up. We don't need division because of the speaking in tongues or the interpretation of tongues. But do not let your feelings go unnoticed here. But go to the Word and actually base it on what the Word says. Love does not dishonor others. Remember that people will judge us based on our past. And it is not easy to change the views of what others think of us. But I remember the crying that came after getting the news that I came home and there's just so much division here. You see, when I was out of the country on my last trip, I tried to shut off politics. I did not want to hear it, did not want to see it. I come home and there's division there. I was crushed. You see, three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Don't forget to love your neighbor and love God. Have a great day.